On the occasion of the government turning 1 on Saturday, May 16th, we are going to invite a lot of corporate bigwigs, corporate honchos to discuss the report card of government in the year that's gone by. And starting with that list is Mr. Ajit Gulabchand, Chairman and Managing Director of Hindustan Construction Company, HCC, joins us in the studio. Mr. Gulabchand, thank you very much for joining us in our studio. Well, that's the first question. What will be the ticks that you will give the last 1 year in terms of government policy?
I think the government has done quite well in the whole of last year. They have tried to tackle many more fundamentals of the whole country that will give the stability that we need in order to grow our economy. And I think to that extent the government has done very well. On foreign policy, which is the first job of any government, is to secure the people of India. I think an excellent change of direction has been made, both for the neighborhood as well as internationally. And foreign policy nowadays inexplicably also means a lot more connections for trade. And we mustn't forget that about a year and a half ago, the world was not even bothered to look at India. It had given up on India that it is any possibility. And I think, so within a short time of 1 year, to make the world look at India, I think it has been an enormous achievement. On the areas of security, both in terms of foreign policy as well as defense, I think huge strides have been made. So there is a certain sense of solidity of India today, which we didn't see.
Yes, confidence is clearly.
Then there are other social issues, but they impinge upon some of the economic issues like the Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, getting more people into the banking system, not necessarily giving them free dole, but getting them into the banking system. I think several of these things have been launched. Then more power to the states. After all, we are a union, we are a federal setup. Too much was Delhi-centric. And I think these things have been achieved very well in such a short time. Then the most important economic reform that the government has done is that it has done away with the Planning Commission.
Okay.
Now the Planning Commission essentially is a Marxist socialist pillar. It's basically was created by them so that the state will control the resources of the nation. Whether it is even where Lata will work or Ajit will work, down to where steel will be used. And I think by doing with that, he's given a signal we are now becoming a free economy. By pushing through the GST, not that it was not tried by everybody, I think everybody wanted it, but by pushing through the GST, by saying, yeah, we will get it through, we have again created a common market. So you can look at it on one side with the doing away of the Planning Commission, more strength to the states and the GST, we have acquired a huge foundation for India's economic growth.
Okay, now, those positives I take on board, but before I start squabbling with you on what your disappointment was, let me ask you as a businessman, are you seeing more tenders for roads and will you bid for them? Do you have the courage to put more money on the table or ask for more loans?
Yeah. Let me tell you something. As far as infrastructure is concerned, or some of these things are concerned, the slowdown was so serious, you know, forget all the new GDP growth rate ways, or let's go by the old just to be clearer comprehension.
Yes, the 5%.
Yeah, the 5 or 4, whatever it had come down to. See, that slowdown, prior to that, about 5 years ago, the visible order book in the international terms per year at the beginning of the financial year was about $110, $120 billion for construction. This has dropped to below 15 now. Now to come back to even 50 and 60 is a journey. And this journey we had anticipated it would take them at least since they came into office about 18 months to make. And now looking to the damage done by the old policies was so bad that it would probably take not just 18 but maybe another year or so.
So you mean in this 1 year it is not improved at all?
It has improved, but more fundamentally improved, less actually in terms of, but things have now order flows have started substantially in the transport sector. And yes, see, you must understand there are two sectors. One is the construction and one is the PPP, where a huge investment is required. Construction is another kind of sector. And I think, yes, we are bidding. We have done very well. In fact, about 5,500 crores of L1s are there.
Okay.
We have to convert them into activity. But there has been, this flow has begun. Did it begin right away? No, it took some time, and in the last 4 or 5 months, this movement has begun. And I think this will increasingly move, but it will move at a slow pace for at least another year. That's why as a company we decided that we'll have to manage with slow growth or a steady, almost flat top line, and yet be able to make a profit. This is what we decided. And then once this thing begins, we would take the risk of not being prepared enough for quickly scaling up. We've done that in the past, we'll do it.
Okay. You know, one of the things that we heard from the Prime Minister and the entire NDA is that we are going to do away with a lot of controls, a lot of approvals. Is that your experience as a businessman?
No,
are you asking for less approvals? Is the Environment and Forest Ministry jacking your happiness less? Is anything stuck in Delhi?
Yeah, I'll tell you something. The Environment Ministry has substantially improved, and it is much faster at its clearance. It's in the process of putting in more standards so that they can make it automatic clearances on a variety of areas. And I think, and they're in the right direction. They're genuinely looking at environment, not using environment to stop the world, okay? The whole of the West cleaned up their environmental act without stopping a single thing. And we stopped everything, and we are just as filthy as ever. So these are things that they are doing. So that's one. But the main thing is, yes, the ease of doing business which the Prime Minister has promised, and what we are looking at, an environment in which there is a predictability and a certainty of doing things, is a promise that the Prime Minister has given. You started Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. You and I know it can't happen overnight. But the direction has been given. This is where we are going. So this is what we want to do. This is what we are doing.
Yes.
Every time he buttresses that particular rule of his.
Yes.
And it's now up to the ministries to start engaging in themselves, to start reducing the difficulties of doing business. And I think some headway is made, but I would like to have seen a little more let's say a more sort of checklist way of going about it.
Okay.
That this has been reduced, that has been improved.
The bigger problem is whether you speak about Swachhata or the approvals needed for you to start construction of a road. Many of these come from the state government.
Yes.
Are you happy with the way in which the centre has liaised with the centre? The confidence in the beginning was that this is the first time we have a chief minister turned prime minister, and so he will understand where the shoe bites for the states. Is that cooperation as much as was expected?
I'll tell you, that cooperation has just begun.
Yeah, we saw him with Mamta.
It is just begun. You saw where Mamta began, and you saw the language, the body language of both the people on the stage. Yes, the Prime Minister wanted them, but Mamta was playing politics. She realized it's important that there is some sincerity and there is some merit to the idea of Team India, and I think this will come about. But this
are states behaving any better? I mean, you have a different, you have an NDA government in Maharashtra as well.
No, I'll tell you, again they've all come, no, just 5 months this government is in office. So to comment so early on anything, particularly new governments, which is a government that's come up very new people, after 15 years of being out of office, you know, it takes a little while. However, I would have liked to see a much faster movement in Maharashtra than has happened, particularly because Maharashtra has the potential to become a Germany.
Absolutely.
It has the same population, it is almost the same kind of area. Why is it not the 4th largest economy in the world?
We are a great distance, sir. Okay, I am being told that I cannot continue this conversation for too long. Let me just ask you about the land bill. If it doesn't get passed, now it's gone to a joint committee clearly. If you don't see it in the form in which the NDA wants it, do you think projects are going to be stalled or will slow down considerably?
Certainly.
It's that big a roadblock?
It is a big block because that is an undoable bill. If you go by the old bill, you will need 5 years to get a clearance. Everything happens on time. Usually it will take double that time. Now add litigation at every stage. Nothing will happen.
But it's only the social impact assessment that they have removed.
No, but the process is that it's cut down. So social impact assessment, a quick consent, a small consent in some area. I think that cleaning up is required. As the Prime Minister said, yes, both not only the Congress but also the BJP was responsible, guilty of making a bad bill, and then we must correct it, otherwise we will not progress. And I think we should all look at it that way.
Okay. I'm taking one more liberty from the next show. I'm stealing their time.
Yeah.
One big thing you want from the Prime Minister this year?
I'd make it two.
Okay, please.
First is, all the arbitration awards, please pay them. And if you want to challenge after,
Oh yes, I can
a lot
see
of
that.
financial trouble will go.
I could see it in your P&L, yes.
Second thing I would like to see is remove the wretched Retrospective Act. It gives the single most beautiful signal to the world that we really mean business in a new way. We're making a break from the past. And the third is, we would like the RBI governor to cut the interest rates down at least by 3 to 4%, because then it allows a 14% IRR. Investment will start growing.
Well, this is not the first year of the RBI governor, so we will leave that request for another time.
No, I'm sorry. I'm charged as a population to be in charge of creating wealth and creating jobs. I cannot do it unless the interest rate comes down to the extent it is expected of me.
Fair.
So I'm demanding that.
Okay. Fair enough. Point taken. Mr. Gulabchand, thank you very much for joining us and kicking off our series on what India Inc. Thinks of the first year of the Modi government. Well, out of time on the show completely. Thank you very much for watching Bazaar. Traders only in a minute.